Hey guys, Jimbo here, and we're just going to go over the Turntable tool in RadGen. It's basically a nice way to advertise your radar or map in a nice spinning animation. So yeah, very good for showcasing, and we'll get straight into it. So up at the top, you've got tools. You need to click on render turntable animation. It's going to show you this window here. Preview will be blank until you start to render, so don't worry about that. So basically, straight off the bat, first setting is vertical angle, which is default set to kind of an isometric angle, which is a pretty nice way to show off your level, but if you want to tweak it, go for it. Personally, I leave that as default. And we've got two options for frame rate and duration. So this just basically means 30 FPS, and we're going to do it for 5 seconds. So altogether, you're going to look at a frame count of 150, and then obviously if you tweak it, it's going to automatically update. And as you see below that as well, another thing automatically changing is the estimated file size. So it's not necessarily perfect, but it gives you a good idea of what you want to what you're going to be expecting. Especially useful if you're wanting to upload the video to something like Twitter. There's file size limits there, so before you bother wasting time, you can look at trying to make sure it's going to be file size that you can upload to where you need it before you bother to do it. So for PNGs, it's actually showing 4 megabytes per image, and a total of 320 megabytes because we're looking at 80 images. If you go to something like WebM, you're looking at a much smaller file size, and then GIF's going to be a little bit more as well. So PNG sequence is just going to spit out a bunch of raw images for PNGs. If you just want it in a straight up video, straight out of RadGen, you're going to look at WebM or GIF. So with GIF, it's going to be, there's benefits and downsides to which one you want to use here. WebM generally is, like I said, going to result in smaller file sizes, whereas GIF will actually keep transparency. So there's a few different options. WebM, if I remember correctly, is usually high resolution as well due to the way GIFs usually get. I can't think of the term, but yeah, the way GIFs work and how the optimization for them works. So I think don't count me on that, but I think WebM usually can be higher quality as well. So all you do then is click render, click somewhere to save it to. I'm just gonna put it in. Yeah, sure, why not? And then you look at this now. It's currently rendering, showing you a preview of each image that it's taken. And obviously, since we've got WebM selected, it's going to actually compile those into a WebM video at the end. So we're not going to wait for that. We're going to do something I have prepared earlier. Bring over these. So we've got some examples here. GIF, WebM, and 720 frames WebM. Now, it can take a while to export after it finishes rendering and actually save to a file, so you might want to take that into account as well. But if you're looking for a very high quality, high FPS video, you might want to look at using a lot of frames with WebM. Obviously, I've only got 80 frames for this one. One thing to note is that if you look down at your export resolution, you will see that this value actually affects the output resolution of your turntable animation. So generally, you want to make sure that you've not got that set to something like 512 before you do this. Set it as high as possible because you're going to get the nicest animation. Obviously, yes, that is going to increase the file size, and the file size, that's just going to moan because I closed it. The file size is going to increase dependent on your export resolution. So something else to take into account. Make sure that's set before you actually set the turntable to a value that you want. And all I'll do is I'll just preview them now. So going to look at the GIF. As you can see here, I can't remember what FPS is it set to, but it's relatively fast, smooth-ish. Not massively smooth, but it's smoothish. And as you can see, there's transparency in the back of there. Whereas if you go to something like the 720 frame WebM, bit overkill, but only 16 megabytes. That's pretty good when you look at the fact that that GIF is 13 megabytes. No transparency background, but if you look at this, that is smooth as butter. And not going too fast either. Obviously, it doesn't loop at the end as well, like a GIF would. That's another thing you might want to take into account. But yeah, very nice feature for just a nice way to advertise your map. And that's that one. Cheers, guys.